wow, we have been online for 15 weeks because of MCO. I've not seen so many people face to face. I've seen them on Zoom, and today I saw Daryl, I saw Jason. Man, this is my first time seeing them after 15 weeks. And many of you, likewise, I'm quite sure that you have not met a lot of people face to face. You know, MCO has made us do a lot of crazy things. I have done videos, I've done acting. Oh my gosh, you know, that's something that I am really embarrassed about. I, of course, fed the poor, helped raise funds for PPEs. I did so many different things. And one of the things I like to do, of course, is create content for social media in our EveryNationPJ or even in our credits lives here section. But as I looked at all the things I did, and I see, hey, no one shares, no one likes my what I did. And frankly, I was disappointed with myself because I felt that maybe I was not good enough. Well, maybe you feel the same as well. When you do something and no one supposedly appreciates it and you get disappointed and you feel that you're not good enough. I want to tell you that, you know, God thinks of you differently. I thank God told me when I felt that, I was disappointed, felt unworthy, but God woke me up and said, hey, you know what? You're not good enough. I want to tell you a story from Moses and how we can journey to know how God thinks of you. You know, Moses, I'll give you a bit of a background of Moses. Pharaoh, during that time, was wanting to kill all the Hebrew boys, baby boys, because he wanted to decrease the population of the Israelites. And so the baby Moses was put on the Nile River in a basket and the mother pushed the baby away in the river. And the Pharaoh's daughter, he landed on Pharaoh's daughter's hands. And Pharaoh's daughter began to say, okay, I'm going to adopt this baby to be my son. And she called him Moses. Now think about this. Now Moses is a prince. He was brought up as a prince, which means he's educated, he's definitely trained as a warrior, and scholars believe he was there for almost 40 years. Now, during his time, he knew he was a Hebrew, and one day while he was walking on the streets, he saw an Egyptian punishing a Hebrew person. He got mad and he killed the Egyptian, and he buried him. And Pharaoh got to know about it, and Moses ran for his life. Moses, maybe questioned his worth. Can you imagine? Is it possible that if he went back to Pharaoh and said, you know, forgive me for what I did was wrong, do you think Pharaoh may forgive him? Possibly because he is a prince. But Moses forgot who he was. And he ran away because he felt or he questioned his worth. You know, I went through that myself many years ago when I was writing a song because, you know, we know our milestones, we reach certain milestones, and that's what I did. I wrote a song and I reached a certain milestone in my writing. And I thought that, whoa, you know, I have accomplished something. And then so I'm going to write another song, and when I wrote the other song and start writing again, nothing seems to happen. It didn't hit the way I thought it was supposed to be. And then I began to feel that, hey, I am not good enough. Just like Moses. He forgot he had stature. He was somebody. But along the way, we forgot who we are. So let's continue. Now Moses ran to the land of Midian. Now what Midian means? Midian means it's a place of judgment. Many of us, just like Moses, could actually run to a land of judgment, a place where we judge ourselves, telling ourselves we are no longer worthy, we are not good enough, therefore I shall just remain where I am and stay there and just rot, being purposeless, because I'm not good enough. That's what happened to Moses. Moses was there for 40 years. He became a shepherd, and that's where he remained. But let me tell you this. The good news is God was not finished with Moses. And God is not finished with you. Come on, say it. God is not finished with me. One more time. God is not finished with me. So we continue. So Moses, now he was at the walking, shepherding, his sheep at Horeb, the mountain of God, and suddenly he saw a bushfire, a burning bush, but the bush was not consumed. And so let's continue with the verse from Exodus chapter 3, verse 2 to 6. Okay, it says here, "And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, and behold, the bush was burning, yet it was not consumed. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God." When you're in a place where you judge yourself and you're not good enough, God was there, looking and finding that moment where he could appear to Moses again. And same like you, if you're in a place where you're judging yourself that you're not good enough, God wants to appear and visit you and show himself up and show off, just like he showed off to Moses. Today, God always appears evidently many times or often during praise and worship. Because God says, in Psalms 22 verse 3, he says, Yet I know that you are most holy. It's indisputable. You are God enthroned, surrounded with songs, living among, hear this, the shouts of praise of your princely people. God dwells or inhabits in the praises of his people. God dwells in the praises and worship. When we worship him, he loves to speak to us. So as I want to come into a place of worship where I want you to not be distracted by all the things that you have right now. And take away your phone, take everything. Can you just spend these 5 minutes with me? Let's worship and let's learn to be consumed by the presence of God. And let's pray, God, will you visit me right now? Will you speak to me? Will you do that with me right now? Let's come to the presence of God. Yes, God. Lord, we invite your Holy Spirit to come. Visit us, Lord, as you visit Moses, oh God. We want to encounter you, Lord. God, as we enter into your presence, Lord, come, speak to us. You know me by name. You called me. You called me. For all of my days, I'll go where you would go. Though I walk through the valley, I am safe. I am saved in your arms. In the face of life's mysteries, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'll never walk alone. I'll never walk alone. With you by my side. With you by my side. Your spirit lives within me. No longer I'm afraid. With you by my side. With you by my side. I've fallen from grace. You saved me. You saved me. bright as today. Salvation shines for all. Though I walk through the valley, I am saved. I am saved in your arms. In the face of life's mysteries, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'll never walk alone. I'll never walk alone. With you by my side. With you by my side. Your spirit lives within me. No longer I'm afraid. With you by my side. With you by my side. I'll never walk alone. I'll never walk alone. With you by my side. With you by my side. Your spirit lives within me. No longer I'm afraid. With you by my side. With you by my side. I will go where you would go. Take the lead and I will follow you to places no one goes. Say the word and I will follow. I will go where you would go. Take the lead and I will follow you to places no one goes. Say the word and I will follow. I will go where you would go. Take the lead and I will follow you to places no one goes. Say the word and I will follow. I will go where you would go. Take the lead and I will follow you to places no one goes. Say the word and I will follow you. I'll never walk alone. I'll never walk alone. With you by my side. With you by my side. Your spirit lives within me. No longer I'm afraid. With you by my side. With you by my side. I'll never walk alone. Yes, Lord. With you by my side. With you by my side. I'll never, never walk alone. With you by my side. With you by my side. Thank you for your presence, Lord. Well, I hope you were ministered and you entered into the presence of God. And I pray that you heard maybe a still small voice of God speaking to you. And I want to encourage you to continue doing it, because when you continue entering into the presence of God, you are going to experience and encounter God even more. All right. So as we continue, Moses now meeting God, and he was afraid, right? And this is what verse Exodus 3, 2-6 again, 10-11 says. God says to him, "Come, I will send you to Pharaoh that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt?" You know, when I look at this verse, isn't it ironic? You are in front of God. You are seeing God. and you know that He is all powerful, He can do anything, yet you question that question, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? I tell you why. Because he was in a place of judgment in Midian for too long. And he felt that he's no longer worthy, not good enough. Even when God came to him, he felt, God, are you sure? Who am I? I'm not good enough. And I pray that you will realize that you may fall in the same position as Moses. That when God appears to you and you hear in worship, you hear His voice, yet you say, God, can't be me. It's not me. I'm not able to do it. And the verse continues. Then God says here, then, of course, when Moses answered, but behold, they will not believe me or listen to my voice, or they will say, the Lord did not appear to you. The Lord said to him, this is what I like. Okay, the Lord said to me, because Moses now, he's been saying all kinds of excuses, giving all kinds of excuses just like us. We love to give all kinds of, but God, but, that's not, But God said this, what is that in your hands? Whoa. No, when I saw that, it's pretty interesting. What was in Moses' hand? It was just a staff. It was a shepherd's staff that basically leads sheep around, and of course sometimes protect himself from predators. But I don't think Moses every day trained himself with the staff, learn Kung Fu, you can move everything on the staff. That means he's an expert on the staff. I don't think he's an expert with the staff, because a staff is just a staff. And God is asking, what is in your hand? A staff. And I think Moses is saying, yeah, it's just a staff. When I saw that, I realized, God tells us that we are not defined by our skill or our talent. Because God didn't tell Moses, 40 years you were you were a prince, and you were taught, or I allowed you to be taught how to be educated, learn how all the ropes, learn different things, learn strategy. I'm sure learn war strategy or different kind of strategies, and learn to be a warrior. God didn't say, okay, I've given you all these skills, and now take that skills and go and rescue my people. He didn't. God asked him, what is in your hands? Isn't it interesting? In our lives, we don't realize this, but we are so defined by our skill, our talent, and what we have, that when we look at our hands, we always go back to our skill and talent. But God is not interested in first your skill and talent if you are feeling you're not good enough, because it is your skill and talent that made you feel you are not good enough, and you're going to go back to your skill and talent. That's not how God works. But of course, if you know that you are good enough with your skill, then it's the different story. But many of us feel that we are not. I went through very similar situation during MCO. I thought I had skill, I have talent, I did all kinds of things in social media and my music and all those things. But one day, I got a call, and someone told me that, hey, you know what, this hospital need PPE. They call it personal protective equipment. And immediately I jumped up and said, hey, you know what, I can help. I think I can help. So I just start sending out WhatsApps to our church members, to my friends. I say, hey, I just need about 5,000 to 6,000 ringgit. Can we raise this to give to this hospital? Do you know what? In less than 2 days, I raised that money, and we were able to immediately go to the hospital and give them the PPEs. That was what? Man, that was not a skill. That was not a talent that I had. And after that, that's what's interesting. I put up on my Facebook a post, and then people begin to call me. A Filipino friend of mine called me and said, hey, you know what? Because the only thing actually, honestly, I had in my hands was a permit to be able to go out. As you know, during MCO, you can't even go out. But I had a permit to be able to go out. So that was the only thing that was in my hands. And someone called me and said, hey, can you help us? I've got a whole group of Filipino people that need food because they have no job, they need food. And can I donate money to you, and can you help buy groceries and deliver to them? So when I thought about it, why not? That's what is in my hands currently. It's not my talent, it's not my skill, but that's what's in my hands. So I took that, I said, sure, let's do it. Boy, it was not easy. Trust me, we delivered to almost 340 Filipinos all around Klang Valley. We had to travel, and of course, thank God, I had a team of another NGO who joined me, and we did it together. But it was not easy. But after I did that, then I get another call from a company, a big company, and say, hey, we want to partner with you, raise money, and to give PPEs to the hospitals and to any frontliners. And here we are, we raised again. No, they raised the money, and we did it. Do you know, overall, we have raised more than 80,000 ringgit. One of it was also interesting, one of our colleagues said, let's try crowdfunding. I said, hey, you know what? I've tried crowdfunding and I only got 1,000 ringgit. I don't want to do it. But I said, I want to try it. I said, if you have the faith, let's do it. Guess what? This is the first time we did it. Second time we did it, and we raised 10,000 through the crowdfunding. I was amazed, when God says what's in your hands, and that's all I had, I just did it. I didn't take, honestly, it was not much effort in raising the over 80,000 ringgit. I was honestly blown away by God. I said, God, sometimes we work so hard to get something done, but when you say what's in my hands was just a simple permit to be able to go out, and that's all I had. And I have blessed so many frontliners, community people, because all I did was obey. I know that was what, at that current point of time, that was what was in my hands. What about you? Are you defined by your talent and skill to the point that when you feel that you're not good enough with your skill, you seclude yourself and you get stuck? God says, listen to me here, because I'm going to show you your stuff. I'm going to show you that you have a stuff. That's what is so interesting about God. What is in your hands? I hope you know that. Now, after that, God began to, as we read the scriptures, Moses still couldn't get it, because he showed when he had the staff. If you continue reading in Exodus, you see that God turned the staff into a serpent, and then he just picked up the tail, and then he came back to a staff. That means the staff became, in a sense, powerful. It has God's power on the staff. But yet Moses says, God, maybe still, as you can see in a verse in Exodus chapter 4, he says, but Moses said to the Lord, oh my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the post or since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and of tongue. Man, if I'm God, I don't know what I'm going to do with Moses. But thank God I'm not God. God is so patient. And he continues to, now therefore go, and I'll be with your mouth and teach you. God says, now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. And he continues to say it, but he said, oh my Lord, please send someone else. Then, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. And God says, is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he is coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. He shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. You shall speak to him and put his words in his mouth, and I will be your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. When I look at this verse, it's interesting, right? Moses saw the miracles, and I believe God knew. God knew that Moses was broken. Likewise, God knows that you are possibly broken. And that's why you're trying to find a way of getting out, or escaping, or finding a way out from, hey, God, I still want to go back to my cave. Please, I want to go back. I know there's miracles, but God, I want to go back. I want to go back to that cave and stay there, because I'm not worthy. I pray that today's message, that God has been knocking. Seriously, He's knocking at your door, and He's been telling you, come on, get out, get out. I'm going to show you miracles. I'm going to show you that you are worthy. I'm going to show you that you're good enough. I'm going to show you that I'm going to show you a path that you never thought that you could take, and see that I am going to lift you up. That's what God wants to do. And so this is what God did. Because he knew that Moses was in that place, and therefore he gave Aaron to Moses. My question to you is that in your place of feeling not good enough, do you have an Aaron in your life? Or Aarons in your life? God works sometimes differently, but he always works, number one, through praise and worship. I tell you that definitely. And he works, secondly, we were talking about is what is in your hands, which you may not know, and it's not defined by your skill or talent. And thirdly, you will know you're good enough when you have community. A community that can walk with you. And that's what Moses had. Moses had an Aaron in his life. That he at least can feel now, I have someone that I can count on who will walk with me, and I'm not alone. Whenever I'm down, he will pick me up, because I do not do this, or I'm not going to do this alone. Just like the song says, I'll never walk alone. I don't know where you are, but let me tell you this. If you are in a place where you have no one who can walk with you, can I suggest to you, don't stay there in that cave. Go out and say, okay, I need a community. I need an Aaron in my life. Find a Christian community. Find someone who can walk with you. In EveryNationPJ, same thing. We love to walk with creatives. We want to journey with you and help you find God along the way. Don't do this alone. Find an Aaron in your life. You know what? Moses, with his speech difficulty and a staff, and his sidekick, Aaron, rescued 600,000 Israelites and brought them to the promised land. And what's interesting, that after Moses knew he was good enough, check this out, that was only when God used his skill he learned when he was a prince. Because now he had to govern, he had to have strategy to be able to run, to guide 600,000 Israelites. God defines you by how he thinks of you, how he has created you. Not by your skill and talent. But once you know you are good enough, you know your purpose, you know who you are, then God will use what he has given you in terms of your skill or talent, and that will then, I call it, complete your whole yourself, to realize that, hey man, I have purpose and I am good enough. That's what happened to Moses, and that can happen to you in your life. You are able to experience, encounter God when you hear him through worshiping him. Realize what is in your hands, and thirdly, go find an Aaron or Aarons in your life, so that then you are going to find a foothold in God's what God has for you. And you're going to see amazing things, my friends. Amazing things. So I want to get into worship again, because that's where we are going to hear from God. We're going to experience and know that he thinks so highly of us. Let's worship.